Welcome back to the Multi-Passionate Mompreneur podcast, where we choose to focus our energy, embrace our strengths, and move toward the compelled businesswomen we were meant to be. It's time to free ourselves from the chaos and the constant stream of ideas and build a life of impact and joy that honors our hard stuff, that makes meaning of our losses, and that helps us to make an impact in the world. It's time to finally take our power back and gain the follow-through that we've been desperately needing, while also learning to leave the swirl behind. I'm Angel McElhaney, motherless daughter, self-discovery junkie, and not so master juggler of my crazy crew. And I believe you can have it all. So put down that to-do list, grab that coffee, and let's get to work, one day at a time, together. Welcome back. On this episode, we are talking with Onyinye Anike, and she is a transformational life and business coach. She is serving women who are mission-driven entrepreneurs step confidently into their power and purpose so they can share their message and build foundations of a thriving business, and ultimately so they can create impact as well as income. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm really excited to let everyone hear about your story. Where should we start? First of all, I guess, can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, sure. So my business is called right now Holistic Life Purpose, and I created it last year. Oh, it feels like years ago, in August. And the purpose of Holistic Life Purpose is to help mission-driven. I work with mompreneurs, femipreneurs, all females, predominantly Christian women, to help them build a thriving business. I help them get really connected to their purpose and their power so that they can confidently show up in their business as well as in their life. And I've been doing some rebranding and repositioning, so that may expand a little bit more as that's happening, because I am actually looking to use speaking as a way to really get my message out there.
Well, and I hear little ones, so we totally understand. So this, how many kids do you have?
I have two little ones, a 1-year-old, which is the one who's screeching in the background, and a 3-year-old.
Gotcha. So you've had a very busy year. That's super exciting. So what would you say, like if you just had to start out of the gate with some advice, having went through this past year of building your business, on some foundational tips that for someone just starting out? So maybe they are ready, they know what they want, like they have the clarity that it comes with knowing what they want, but they don't really know how to attract, the right client or to book clients, or like, I have all this goodness, but how do I get people to know that I'm here? Do you have some tips for that?
Yeah, I think visibility is a challenge for all of us. And I recently posted in several groups and on my page about how that was one of my biggest challenges as an entrepreneur, is not wanting to put myself out there and recognizing that I was doing a disservice to my people by not putting myself out there, because I have all this great knowledge, I have all of this great stuff that I want to help bring to the world, but it's no good if you're hiding. It's no good if no one knows you exist. And so a big part of it is really working through on your mindset, because a lot of our fears of being visible is around worthiness and our confidence, and believing that someone's going to want to buy from us or want to hear what we have to say, or that we're even good enough to present certain information.
I love that, because you basically are saying that you have to believe that you are worth it, and that you are valued for that service first. Like you have to believe it wholeheartedly. Otherwise, no one else is going to believe it either. Yes. And so I definitely can see that being a huge piece of that, especially mindset, for sure. Like so many of us have limited mindsets and feel like we aren't able to do so much. Just, it's like in our hardwiring, which I don't know if you know, but I'm really, really interested in self-discovery and learning about yourself. And I think that piece of it is what makes people have that kind of resilience to not quit and to just change the way you do it versus just stopping. And so I'm really excited to hear a couple more tips. I know that you have so much to tell us. Where do you want to start?
Yeah. So one of the, like I said, one of the challenges was the visibility piece and how to best be visible, and how to stay in alignment with it. So I think what happens, like you said, with being visible and putting yourself out there is you don't want to seem misaligned when you come out and share your information. We have this feeling of wanting to please everyone. There's a fear of judgment when you put your stuff out there. You're like, will it resonate? Will people say something about it? And so I created the purpose biz framework is one of the ways that I assist my clients in building the foundations of their business, and it's grounded in their mission, their vision, their why, and their purpose. And what this helps do is it keeps us in alignment with who we are as people within our business. It helps us to get really grounded in that, so that the fear that may come up of, oh my God, like I'm not worthy, or I don't want to seem like an imposter because I'm not at the same level as another coach maybe within my same niche, or that like what I'm saying no one wants to hear. Once you are grounded in your purpose, in your mission, your vision, and you have that foundation, and you have clearly declared what you kind of stand for and what you stand against within your business, it helps to then give you the confidence to solidly keep moving forward in your business and grow that. So the framework, the first foundation is our purpose and getting grounded in that. Then we move to our person, like who is the person we're called to serve, doing some real deep work to understand who that person is, what their pain points are, how we can best serve them. Then followed by our positioning, and that's the content, that's writing things out that are in alignment with ourselves and with what our ideal client would like. And then doing our positioning in a way that is also in alignment with us. So sometimes people, are not comfortable with lives, even though lives is, I've gotten really comfortable with them, even though before I was like terrified. But I had to do a lot of mindset shift around what was holding me back about that, and being able to move forward in doing lives and like writing out my content, actually putting it up and not over analyzing it and rewriting it to make it sound perfect. So really getting us set in our positioning, then our packaging, which is our offer, our pricing. How do we make sure it's, again, we're showcasing our value, which is something a lot of new coaches struggle with. Again, it's like being able to say, I'm charging this amount, because again, there's a lot of feelings of worthiness around that, and I don't want to appear a certain type of way or like salesy or pushy. And through pricing, we talk about all of those pieces. And then process. What's the processes you have in place and systems to efficiently and effectively work your business and to reach out to and get clients in a way that works for you as well. Again, as a busy mom, I love the personal relationship. I think it's really important. I organically reach out, and that's how I attract clients, but I also recognize that I also need some automation and systems in place to be able to balance motherhood and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's a lot of juggling, that's for sure. Which it sounds like you're doing amazing at it. So first of all, good job at that. And then I think that I just want to go back, because just iterate some of the things you said. You mentioned that when you were talking about the why, that fear, and how we can almost like self-sabotage. Like we almost don't want to fail, or we don't want to, like, what would we do if someone doesn't like what we say? So I like to do the strategy where you almost think of the worst case scenario. So like if you want to go live, think about like, okay, what could go wrong? And then if that happens, what can I do about it? So that you can almost like kind of take away the power away from it, which I know that's one part of your mission, is to give them their power. Definitely, I can see where going through this process would definitely do that. Do you want to, like, when you talk about the process, how would you go about like helping someone to start there? Because I feel like people have been doing a lot of work with, at least at this point, probably like who they're serving and like who their person is. And the positioning, I feel like that is one thing that I definitely think that a lot of multi-passionates suffer from, like really zoning in, because they are so, I get, multi-passionate. Like they just have so many things, like so many talents, and just are very versatile. Do you mostly help coaches?
Yes, mostly coaches and consultants when it comes to the business coaching aspect of it. But the transformational piece of it, even though I do that in my business, I work with women who want to like transform their lives and focus on what their bigger purpose is and to confidently show up in that way.
I love that. And I love that it's not only about money. Like there is an income piece, and the income will come when you get where you're supposed to be, because you're in alignment. Like you are in the flow. Like that's what we got, like you are where you're supposed to be. It almost makes it to where the things are easier. And so, and I definitely believe that God will put different people even in front of you that can help you to learn this skill, or to like bridge that gap of that thing that you didn't know, or to make it easier, or maybe even a group. Because I know you had mentioned some groups. When it comes to organically growing, or because I know that you mentioned that as a strength, like how can they go about that? So say someone is a new coach and they maybe don't even want to put a bunch of money because they aren't making money yet on ads or these other things. Yeah. Like what did they do? Like, what would you say that they could do in order to organically grow?
Yes. Good question. Yes. And I'm a big proponent of organically growing, especially if you're starting off as a new coach and still trying to kind of figure, your business out and what you want to do. Because you don't want to put too much money and time into funnels and ads that won't convert because you don't yet know your systems and things. So I have a couple that I'll share with you that I've used that have been really beneficial for me, and ones that I use now. So the first I would say is market research. So we all at some point in our business have to do market research, because that's our way of being able to connect with our potential ideal clients and get a better understanding of what their pain points are and how we can best support and serve them. And so in that process of doing market research, you have an opportunity to share, you have this new program or this new thing coming up. And what I have found is, in just coming from a place of not even trying to sell anyone, but really just coming into it with a place of, I want to understand and I want to hear so that I can help. After those conversations and those questions, people are like, what are you up to? I would love to know, because I would love to work with you. And it's so organic and so natural, just through having that conversation of just trying to understand where they're coming from, what their pain points are, and how can best serve.
Well, and it's such a genuine thing. So would you say that, are you going into groups to get this market research?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I usually will go into groups and just say, hey, I'm doing some research to better understand what are some of the challenges of being a new coach. And if anyone is open to just sharing what that is. And I invite people who reach out and, to book a call with me. It's usually about 25 minutes, and nothing too long, but I have a set of questions that I do ask to get a better understanding of where they're at in their business, what challenges they have, what is in the gap, what's between the goals that they have and the challenges, and what do they need assistance with, and all of that fun stuff. And that's how we kind of figure out how I can best serve them, because it's kind of a win-win, because after I do my market research, I do reach back out to those ladies and say, hey, this is what I've found has been consistent in terms of what I've been hearing. I usually put together a great tip, a resource based off of my findings, and that's usually my lead magnet, and send it to them and say, hey, this is what I've found has been a challenge, and here is a solution to that problem, because that's what it's all about. And I send that to them for free. So they have it.
Well, I think that's awesome. And so that will grow ultimately their email list, which I'm guessing is, they're obviously don't really have one, or it's small whenever they're starting out. And then what do they do? What would step 2 be?
Okay. So another way is to connect with your network. I think this is one that's overlooked, because we get so focused in our business that we don't think about the fact that we have people who know people, and we don't talk enough about ourselves. I know there's times to talk about yourself and there's time to be humble. When you're a new business owner, coach, consultant, it's so into talk about what you do, not in an annoying way, but just share, this is what I'm doing. This is who I help. This is who I serve. This is what I offer, because you don't know who could need that and who knows somebody who need that, right? Talk to family, talk to friends, acquaintances, if you're still working, your colleagues, and share like, hey, you know, if I'm a health coach, like I'm a health coach, I help women lose, you know, weight, blah, blah, blah. You know, they may be like, oh, I know this person, my neighbor's been struggling with this. Can I connect you to? So it's so important it's such a underthought, I guess, idea to just reach out to the people that are within your network, the people that you know and you speak to every day, and to share what it is that you do and how you serve and how you help, because they may just be like, you may come to top of mind when they are like talking to other people that may need your services.
Well, and honestly, like, even if they didn't, like, worst case scenario, like, you have just declared it. Like, you have put it out in the world, like, that I am a coach and I do this. So, and I charge this, or however that looks like. But it's definitely like putting it out there, so that, which probably will induce some fear for sure to step into, because then you got to rise to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and that all comes down to like how you mentioned that self-worth, like you gotta do that part. And I think people want to skip that part because they want to get to the part that they can more readily see, that's not internal, you know. So so I think that's definitely a great tip. And I think that you're right, like that definitely is overlooked. And people might blast it on Facebook once or something, but you're talking more like person to person, like a message, or talking to someone, letting them know, like, hey, just wanted to let you know I am starting this new business. I'm really excited about it. If you know anyone that could use, you know, because I think that we try to do the easy way and just like blast something on Facebook. Like, that's not the same. I mean,
it's not, because we don't have ownership. Like, it's kind of like I did it by, and you like run and hide. You have to
see, it's the safety net. Yeah. And that's totally right.
So I'll share about two more that I think would be useful for your audience. So I mean, this is like the most obvious, but just in case people didn't know, to find Facebook groups that have your ideal client. So people that, you know, so again, if you're health, you're going to be in like a group for, you know, women trying to, depend on what it is, or business. Find like 5 or 6 groups that have your ideal clients in there, and then go in there and provide value. It's always coming from a place of service. So go in there, provide value, answer questions that people may have, and what ends up happening are people start to see you as an expert, right? You start to show up more in their feed. In that group, they know like you know what you're talking about, first and foremost, and they're more likely to reach out and just say, hey, you know, you've been, you know, answering these questions. I love to look like, what do you, a big, again, pro tip is optimize your profile to make sure that it like says what you do, so that, because we all check each other out. When someone reaches out to you, you're always like, let me go to their profile and see who is this person. So you want to make sure that like your profile is optimized to say like, this is who I am and this is what I do, because then people will start to reach out and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's, you know, then you get into the messenger and you start to have that conversation, and then you can, you know, invite them if they're the fit for you and for what you do, to have a conversation with you, or to, you know, call, whatever, or to have, you know, send them to your program, whatever it may be. But it all starts with that organic, like, start giving value, really be intentional about what groups you're in that focus on your expertise and your niche and your people.
Well, and I love that you said adding value, because it definitely is not just going in there and trying to sell, because you will get kicked out or blocked or something. So definitely add value. And probably after that market research, like, you are reflecting back on that, and you are serving and maybe even encouraging. Like, there's something to be said for just, you know, complimenting someone that has done a good job. You know, maybe they're celebrating a win that they had, or maybe even they are, you know, you are seeing that they have a problem and offering to help them. I definitely can see where that would be huge for building, like, it's expanding your network. Do you personally have a group, or do you think that the new coaches should have a group of their own?
Yes and no. So I have my own group. I actually have 2. However, I think that if for you to have a group, it's great in that you have a community that's your own community. You don't need to, again, worry about being kicked out or whatever. But at the same time, having a group also requires a lot of responsibility. It takes time to get them to warm up, engagement. You have to be consistent too. You can't just like have a group and then disappear on them for like months. And so it is a responsibility. If you're going to commit to a group, then you have to commit to the fact that you are showing up for them and that you're providing value, and there will be a return on investment in that, and you'll also grow a really thriving community from it. But it literally just depends where you are. If you can't commit the time, and there are ways to like systemize it a little bit so it's not as overwhelming. But to have a group, I think, is a great thing to have as you start to grow your business, because it makes it easier than having to constantly go to try to get cold leads. When you have people who know you, they like you, they trust you, they're coming to you to hear what you have to share, and to reach out to you.
I love that. And I think that a lot of that times that will be like, because people like overlooked, because people won't necessarily stop and think like, well, what is the time investment? Because they're starting out, like they just want to do the thing. And so then they almost could get like burnout before you even start, you know? And I think for sure about, cause you mentioned with the cost. So maybe we could address that for some of our listeners too. I know that in the beginning, a lot of times people will do either discounted or free just to get like some, you know, social proof, to kind of get some referrals. Do you do a process, or would you recommend a process before they start that? Like, I just think with coaching, like how do you swap or switch eventually to getting paid for the service? Especially like if the person, like it's not like, do you have a set plan for that, or what would you recommend for navigating that?
I think for navigating, so in the beginning I've done that, and as of recently I've gotten one or two. I think it's good to do the free. The free coaching helps you to gain the confidence. For some, I know from newer coaches, it's more of the confidence of feeling like, okay, I don't feel the pressure of knowing that like someone's paying me money for these results. And so I think there's that ease of like, okay, maybe I will set a certain, like, I will only allow like 3 or 4 free coaching sessions for a certain amount of time for a certain amount of people. And once you get that confidence, and you also have the opportunity to, so most it's usually about them also like putting together a program. They want to like, again, kind of beta test it to make sure that like it actually is going to get the result.
Yes.
And once they have that, then you want to transition into and say, you know, with the people that you were working with for free, either, again, like the social proof is extremely important. You want those testimonials because that's how other people will feel comfortable like buying from you once you actually put a price on it, to say that it actually works and that you get people results, and then transition from there. And like for me, like I had to start off with free clients, and I'd be like, okay, you know, this is the amount of sessions that's going to be free. If you want to work with me beyond that, then this is my price. And they've been like okay with it, because it's been clear from the beginning. I always have a contract whether you're free or you're paid, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure everyone's on the same, we are all on the same understanding and have the same expectations forward of what to expect.
So would you say that you've already set the value, and instead of saying, because I'm wondering about the mindset around the word free. Like, I know that people like to get things for free, but do you think it's better to almost set their ideal amount that they want, almost like set their worth for that call, or what, you know, what they want to actually get, and then for a time maybe discount it, or like privately discount it, or do something like that to where it's almost publicly you're still saying you're that value? Or how do you think they should communicate the free without communicating the free? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I think the best way to communicate the free is to be open about it being free, but I believe being very intentional in your wording about it. Like, you know, I am offering, you know, 2 free sessions or for 2 people because I am either testing something out, or just as a way of me giving back, or, you know, whatever I'm doing, or just because, you know, being gracious, whatever that may be. But being very clear, like, this is not like the norm. Like, everyone's not gonna get free.
Yeah, you're setting that boundary, which I think that's really important. And then you're also setting the value, because you probably have that in the contract or somewhere where they're seeing it.
I say how much it is. I think it's also very important that, like you said, that's the best way to state that is what we do is we can say, you know, I'm giving 2 free sessions valued at, you see that, like, right when it's the hyphens, valued at, like, you know, $1,000, whatever it may be, so that they know that, like, this is a free, but let you know, like, this is the value of it, like, this is my value. So people still are aware that you have a price point, and in your contract also putting that out there. Like I said, in my contract, it's there. This is how much it costs to work with me.
Well, and in thinking about new coaches, just because this is a little bit off topic, but when thinking about contracts, would you recommend, like, because I know that they can get overwhelmed, especially when it comes to all the back office stuff, you know, like, oh, I have to do this program, or what's that, or, you know, like, so what would you recommend for them for going to get, like, to draft a contract or to figure that out, or do you use a certain program, or is there anything that you have, any tips for that for them?
Mm-hmm. I think not to become overwhelmed by it, and not to overthink it. A basic contract, especially when you're just first starting off, can just have like the basic, like, again, your pricing, what the expectations are in terms of your time, in terms of availability, in terms of what to expect the next session. It doesn't really have to be crazy, like, some of these longer, more detailed contracts that some of the bigger gurus will get, especially when you're first starting off. As long as you state, like, again, let's say you're a coach, you're not a therapist or counselor, so again, you're very clear on what the coaching relationship would look like, and that these are what you offer and what you don't offer and what you don't do. It really is just about knowing what that looks like. I don't remember the website, but there are a couple websites that you can go and get, like, see contracts that people have put together, really simple, not crazy, like coaching contracts, and you can utilize those templates to fit your own. When I finished my certification, part of what we got was like a template for writing a contract. Literally, my contract it's 2 pages. It's like 3 pages, and it's not like crazy overwhelming. It's literally just bullet, bullet, bullet. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Unless I go into something deeper. Obviously, with a program, let's say higher price point, refunds, it can get a little more dicier with that. But if it's just basic, you're just starting off, one-on-one or things like that, you can put together a contract that isn't too overwhelming or crazy, and just states what you need, basic stuff.
So if you're doing a free session with someone and then they do the contract, do you discuss with them beforehand if they're, or do you ask them after, like, for the testimony? I know that I audited a course before, and she asked me, like, hey, at the end of this, I forget how she worded it, but basically she wanted like a little video and a testimonial feedback. Do you word that somewhere else, or before, or do you wait till after?
No, I word it before too,
Okay.
so that people know what to expect. Like, I'm very big about, like, upfront, what am I getting myself into? That's just how I am as a person, so I like to do the same for others, because I don't like being caught behind. I mean, logically it makes sense that someone would ask you for a testimonial, right, if you're doing the program, but I'm very upfront about, like, I'm going to ask you for a testimonial, maybe even some referrals. Like, I put it out there,
Yeah.
just so that so we're on the same page. I don't like to be, like, blindsided, so I don't like to do that to others either. So I'm very, like, clear on my contract about that, and there's even a box where I say, is this okay, and they get to check yes or no, so we're all on the same page. And then also, why we put price is because that's commitment. What I found is, sometimes free coaching has its pros and its cons. Con is when it's free, people don't take it as seriously, right? And so you're like chasing people to do things that they said they were going to do but not doing. And I think for me, what it is if you're going to give free coaching outside of, like, you're just starting fresh and, like, part of your, like, certification program, maybe to get free coaching, what is your reason behind it? I think that's important too, because that's going to dictate how many sessions. If it's just like, I just want to get a couple sessions in so I can, boost my confidence, that's one thing. If it's, I want to get a couple sessions in because I'm thinking of, like, a new formula, a new program, a new way I want to form my offer, and you just need, you want to just try, work with somebody to see if it actually works. Again, that also depends on how many sessions that would take for them to get a certain result. So there's always, at the end of it, is a result. What are you getting that person, and how many sessions does it need for you to get that, without, like, giving out the whole thing if that's not your plan. If you're just like, I need to see if we can get this result or how I can get them this result, then map out, like, maybe it's going to take 2 or 3 sessions to do that. but be mindful of free, because then you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of free, because it becomes like
well, and then it could get awkward, like if they are just wanting to keep going and you're like maybe building up some resentment here, like, you know, like
you're like, oh, no more.
Yeah. So I think those are great tips. And then when it comes to the purpose business framework, is there a certain, because you definitely have these very distinct pillars, is there something that you use for them to be able to acknowledge their strengths or to figure out where they should be putting their passions in, or, you know, for them to figure that part out?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Good question. So in the beginning, we talk about the first part of the pillar is the purpose. And that is where we get really clear on what is their purpose, what is their greater mission in alignment with the business. Because my personal experience is when you are not grounded in that, it's very easy to waver and to get caught up in just the online space and what the gurus are saying, and to feel trapped and stuck. I know that was for me. And so being someone like who is multi-passionate, I love to do many things. I have many talents and experiences in my life. It's about being grounded in that one, in your purpose, and then in your mission, and finding how your gifts, your talents, your strengths, how all of that aligns, and how you're able to translate that into your business and embody that while within your business. You know, I do the business piece, I do the life purpose piece, but I also have health piece. Like my degree is in health sciences, and my bachelor's is in like health education. Like I'm all health. But that's
it is really taking care of yourself. Like there's a piece of that, you know, like there is self-care and self-worth and mindset, all that, like, and you know, even if like today I was kind of in a funk this morning and I went for a walk, and you know, like you almost put the work down and you go and like have that self-care piece, and it really does make you feel a ton better. I think that's the thing, is that we don't realize is that when we pivot, we're not like starting from scratch. Like you have still learned and grown and, you know, gain these skills to take with you. But I do think that one very large tip for multi-passionates that might be listening is that you can still have all these passions, but you're not monetizing all of them. You know, like you can actually just enjoy some things. And I think what it is we only make the time for those passions. Like it's almost like we can warrant spending time doing this over here if we're getting paid for it. Like, but actually, if you really want to make time over here, just make it important for you to just be happy doing this thing over here, right? I know that I've struggled with that for sure, and I think that it's really important too, how you said to be grounded or to like anchor it into a why, because that can kind of make it to where, you know, you can kind of check it like, oh, well, you love to do this, but is that connected at all with your why? Like, so should you go down the rabbit hole, or should you just maybe go take a day and like have some personal time and do that? You know? So I think that's definitely a distinction that a lot of multi-passionates are noticing. So I think that all of your organic ways to grow are going to help so many people. And then I'm really excited to see the work that you do with this purpose business framework, because it sounds like you are literally bringing them through each and every step to where they can get not only results for their clients, but there's a big transformation in their whole mindset and in their confidence, and honestly, eventually their wallets, because that is all connected to that. Like you aren't doing it to just be, you know, to just help, like there is a piece, obviously, like you want to do good and you want to feel good about making an impact in the world. There's a lot of money mindset too, like,
yes,
which I feel like I definitely think growing up, like we had for sure. And I know that a lot of listeners might too, because it's like money is not bad. Okay. Like it just like amplifies who you are. So if you are a good person, like you with money is going to do amazing things. So, which that's me totally going on a whole other thing over here. But I do think that that's really important, because people get lost on the packaging pillar that you had, like the offer, the value, the like almost stepping into it before they have the proof, because you have to just like blindly believe almost. Or like trust yourself, because it really does come down to trust, don't you think?
Oh yes, I was gonna say that's it's so funny because I go through embodiment training with a coach, because I was hitting so much of these like limiting beliefs and blocks, like you said, around mindset and trust. And I didn't realize like a big part of it was trusting yourself and worthiness. Worthiness is our biggest issue. It's what keeps us hiding. It's what keeps us having that imposter syndrome. We're putting our worthiness on others to validate us. And that's what keeps us blocked, along with our limiting beliefs about so many things that come up for us. It's so funny because I had a coach who said, there's 2 times in your life where all of your stuff comes out. He didn't use stuff, he used another S word. And that is when you he said when you get married and when you start a business, because we are facing ourselves with starting a business, especially as a solopreneur, right? It's all on you. You're the coach, you're the marketer, you are the operations person, you're you're everything.
Well, and maybe people don't understand. Maybe your husband's like, "Why are you doing?" You could do this and make money now, but you're going over here. Yeah, like and so definitely hey, that is the time where you need to really be focused on the health. Good thing you have that piece, because I do think that that's almost like a back to basics type of thing for sure. All right. Well, I love that. And I think that's really important for learning to reframe your thoughts for sure, because we catch ourselves with, I feel like, self-talk where we almost can destroy our dreams before we even let ourselves try. And there's power in the trying. I will say multi-passionates, we're triers. Maybe a bit too much, but which I don't know if I asked you in the questionnaire, but did you do you know your Enneagram, or are you familiar with Enneagram at all?
I am familiar with it, and I think I tried to I believe you have like a guide, right?
Yeah, so the guide doesn't actually it doesn't actually like tell you what you are, but it does it tells you where you go in stress and in health. But they do have some quizzes, or I have an episode on the Enneagram.
I would love to take that and see. I did it a long time ago. I don't remember what my number was, but I know like I'm a control freak and I'm high energy. So those are
So maybe you're a 1. I don't know.
Actually, that sounds familiar. I probably am, actually.
Ones, they're moral perfection. They're basically the perfectionists.
Oh my God, you started it. Yes. Correct.
But when they're healthy, they go into a 7, which is the enthusiast, the fun. So so they do, and they loosen up, so they're not as maybe rigid when it comes to to being perfect. But so yeah, I feel like that's been in the same way kind of interesting, because you can almost see how and why that you act the way you do, and even when it comes to vulnerability, because there's something really big about starting your business that is a vulnerability. It's like that declaring it, that stepping out, that saying I'm here for this, please don't reject me. No.
Yes.
But all right. Well, I think that you have given us so much value, and I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on here and share with us. I would love for us to be able to connect with you on social media. Where do you hang out, or can you give us some information on where to find you?
Yes, sure. So you can learn a little bit more about me on my website, which is onyinyecanike.com, ONYINYECANIKE.com, or follow me on Instagram, also at Onyinye Anike. Both, whichever one you go to, I have the 5-step guide, which goes over everything that we talked about today in terms of the purpose-based framework a little bit, and also shares the client attraction organic strategies. So if that's something you want to grab, go grab that. It has tons of information as well, and it's a great way to connect.
I love that. And I will actually put all that in the show notes so that you guys can grab that. And thanks again. And I want to let all of our listeners know that you are strong, you are capable, and you can do the hard stuff. Wishing you joy and abundance, Angel. I hope you found value in today's show. I just want to take a second to share the takeaways. All right, today we were learning the 5 steps to organically grow your business. We did this by first, market research. Invite your ideal niche to get on a research call or to provide that value and answer your questions. You are basically finding out what in the world their problem is so you can solve it. Number 2, connect with your network. think of your friends, your family, your acquaintances. I mean, this is the people that love you. And so you are going to ask them to connect with you, but also for them to share what in the world you're doing. So remember, declare it, step out, and declare it. All right, you never know unless you ask. Step number 3 is podcast interviews. We actually didn't intentionally forget this one, but we were in the middle of this one. So this is definitely one of my favorites. It's a great way to reach your ideal audience, share your expertise, and honestly, it's a great way to share and add value and connect. It really is about connection with this. All right, number 4, you want to provide value and invite your prospects to really have a conversation beyond just blasting it on social media. Yes, you can add value with lives and with posts and that sort of thing, but you really want to get into the DMs, find out what in the world they're struggling with, what their possible things that they need, so that you can ultimately turn around, solve the problems, and speak right to their pain points, okay? Help them out. Basically. Number 5, you want to collaborate with your gatekeepers. And what that means is reaching out to groups where your avatar, your ideal customer lives or hangs out, and you are going to ask them if they would like to collaborate. Maybe they can post on your group, you can post on theirs. Maybe you have some sort of value to offer. Maybe you want to promote or do a giveaway with them. Basically, put yourself out there and collaborate with others. It really is about supporting each other and sharing all of the goodness. Think about it. How many appointments could you really coach? How many, even if you are not a coach, like if you are a photographer, if you are someone who makes signs, like you only can do so many projects, right? There is enough abundance for everyone. So I just want to leave you with that and remind you that if you would like to create a lead magnet or a place on social media for them to find you, this can definitely grow your list while also solving those problems we mentioned about. So I hope this helps you. I hope that you realize that you can do this and that that you are meant to put yourself out there. I think one of the biggest things we just said today was to declare it, was to realize that you have that self-worth and that you are worthy of the life you want. All right, I hope you found value in today's show. Remember, you can screenshot this episode and share it in your social media. And of course, I wish you guys the best in your business, and I can't wait to see what you put out in the world. Hey mama, before you go, if you found value in today's podcast or you learned something new, stop over to iTunes and leave me a review. I love hearing what you are thinking of the show and also connecting with you over on social media. You can find me on Instagram at angel.mcelhaney or on Facebook. So check the show notes for that crazy last name. And until next time, I just want to remind you, you are capable, you are strong, and you can do the hard things. Wishing you joy and abundance, Angel.